Hello everyone and welcome to day 17. I'm super excited to bring this card to you today. This turned out exactly the way I had pictured it in my head. I'm using this beautiful stamp set from Memory Box. It is the TIDINGS WREATH stamp set. This stamp was so hard to get my hands on. This was sold out everywhere and I got lucky, got my name put on a waiting list for it through Simon, and I finally got it. I also have a nice white card base here using some Neenah Solar White cardstock, and I also have a piece of environmental Neenah cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to be using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink today because I'm going to be using my Prismascolor pencils. The colors that I'm going to be using, I'll show them here in a few minutes. You could use any color combinations that you like. I just chose the ones that I am a fan of. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my panel stamped and ready to go. I'm placing that Neenah cardstock inside my Misti tool to help me get a really good impression because this stamp set is very large. And I'm just using a little bit of tape runner behind my card base just to help hold it in place because this is a new stamp and they have a tendency to stick to the paper. So what you can do is you can kind of rub your hands over them. The oils from your hands will kind of help with that, but just look how big and gorgeous this stamp is. Like, I can't even fit the whole thing on this sheet. And that's exactly what I was going for. I wanted it to be the focal point, but I didn't want it to engulf the card completely. I wanted to have room for my sentiment. So that's why I placed the sentiment that I'm using down at the bottom so I knew what my spacing was going to be. Pick up this stamp with my Misti and we'll get this stamped out. I'm super thrilled that I got this stamp. Like I said, there are so many versatile things you could do with it, especially for the holidays. I just think it's so gorgeous and detailed. The detail in it is amazing. And this VersaFine Onyx Black ink is great for picking up detail. And I'm just going to walk my fingertips over top of this stamp and make sure I get a really good impression. Because again, like I said, there's a lot of detail and I didn't want to have to restamp if I didn't have to. And it worked out pretty good the first time. I was really pleased with it and it's just so crisp and clear. I just love it. So next we're going to get into the coloring. Again, the colors that I'm going to use are all here. I have a freeze frame for you so that if you wanted to use these same color combinations that I have, feel free to do so. Again, you can choose any colors that you want if you have a different collection or different colors, but these are the ones from Prismacolor that I am using. So we'll get into the coloring, and once we're all done, I will come back and we'll finish up together. Now that the coloring is all complete, we have this beautiful festive wreath. I just love how the coloring turned out on this. It's so festive. So the next thing I wanted to do, I was a little intimidated by doing this next part. I'd seen it a couple of times from some other crafters out there, and I thought I would try it. I decided to be brave here and give it a try. So what I wanted to do, because this is a Christmas card and I wanted it to be, you know, a winter card, I decided I wanted to add some white splatter to it. Again, I know it's kind of scary. You do all that hard work coloring it and now you're going to splatter it with paint. But in the end, it turned out exactly how I wanted it to. It was subtle. I mean, it wasn't subtle, but it was enough that I got the look I was going for, but it didn't take away from all of the coloring that I did. So I did a little test piece here just to make sure that I had the nice consistency that I was going for with my, I just have plain old acrylic paint that I'm using, and I got into it. Again, at first I was a little afraid, so I was kind of being hesitant with it, and then I just went for it. And like I said, I loved it the way it turned out. And I decided not to take the heat gun to it, because sometimes with acrylic paint it can make it look a little funny if you speed up the heating. It can kind of, can't really explain, kind of make it like a crackling kind of look to the paint, and I wanted it to be nice and smooth. So after I had all this done, I let it set off to the side to dry on its own. It didn't take too long, but it gave me time to work on the sentiment and, you know, go get things ready for the kids and stuff like that. So once I had the desired amount of snow on there, like I said, I set it off to the side to dry, and we can get into creating of the sentiment. Clean off my mat here, and I figured out that this mat is the reason why my light changes. For some reason my camera doesn't like the color of this mat, and that's what makes my lighting change. I thought that was really odd, but hopefully it wasn't too distracting. So I'm going to get the sentiment out. I'm just using some black cardstocks from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm using the large sentiment stamp from the same stamp set that says Glad Tidings. And I'm going to do some heat embossing on this black cardstock. I first thought about just stamping the sentiment right on that blank space down there, but I wanted to pop it up. I wanted to bring the black from the ink back into the card, as well as some more of the white from the splatter, just to kind of make it a little more cohesive. And I really like the way that it turned out, and I want to add just a little bit of dimension with the popped up banner. Got that stamped with some Versamark ink, and I'm using some Brutus Monroe Alabaster white embossing powder. And I love this text on these sentiments. It's like an old-fashioned typewriter. I really like it. Get my embossing powder put away. And we'll get this heated up and ready to go. Hope you're all enjoying your day, and I hope you all have a nice weekend coming up. I'm looking forward to the weekend. It's been a pretty long week, but got a nice break coming up with the holidays, so really looking forward to that. I'll have lots of time to do some crafting and making some goodies. So I'm going to use this Blueprints Dynamics from MFT. It's Blueprints 27, and I'm going to use the next size banner up from it to cut out my little greeting here. Again, you could just cut this out yourself with scissors, or you could use any other kind of banner dies that you have, or any other kind of dies. I chose to do this because I like the size of it, and I like the nice simple flag banner that it gives. And since my panel was still drying, I didn't want to set this on top, but I just wanted to check to see if I liked the look of that, and I let it set off to dry. So once my panel was all nice and dry, I came back and I took the MFT A2 Stitch Stax Dynamics, and I took the largest from that set of dies, and I'm going to cut this finished panel out, so I have a nice thin border around my main panel here with my card base. And I like the little bit of stitching detail it adds as well. Going to use some Tombow Mono Multi Glue to attach my base panel to my card base. I really like the nice border that these dies add. Again, it's reinforcing that white, bringing it back in. And I'm going to pop up my greeting with some WREATH 3M foam strips. Again, I toyed around with where I wanted to place the sentiment. At first I thought, well, maybe I could move it up, but then I had a blank spot down at the bottom. In the end, I liked the placement that I had. I think it looked really cute. We'll get that placed, and then I'll just trim off the excess that's overhanging with my scissors. Next, I decided I want to add just a little bit of sparkle. So I took my Wink Stella glitter brush pen, and I'm adding just a little bit of glitz and glimmer to the berries on this wreath. I didn't want to go too crazy because I wanted the coloring to shine through. That's why I didn't want to add too many embellishments. And then I added some shimmer to the greeting as well. And that will finish up this card today. I want to thank you guys so much again for coming by. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the little notification bell so you don't miss out on any more videos here on my channel. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye!